Shohei, what was your reaction when Dave said that he wanted you to only pitch today?
ピッチャーだけって言われた時の反応、リアクションは。
ちょっとびっくりはしましたけど、はい、チーム的としてもいい戦略というかじゃないかなとは思うので、もちろんデッドボール当たってピッチングの方に専念してほしいって言われてたので、そこにまず集中しようかなと思ってました。
After getting hit by a pitch, Doc thought that it was a good idea for me and for the team to just focus on the pitching side of the game. And so I was a little bit surprised, but it made sense hearing what he had to say.
How different is it physically going through a game just as a pitcher instead of as a two-way player? That specifically like pitching without hitting.
そうですね、投手だけっていうので何か違いは。
イニング間がなんかこうやっぱ長くは感じるので、変な感じはしましたけど、それでもしっかりとまず集中できてたので良かったかなと思います。
Just in between innings felt a little longer than normal. That was really the only difference that I really felt. Aside from that, I felt pretty good.
What did you do with that time to stay loose? Did you have to do more with your shoulder?
なんか特別なこととかしました。
いつもよりその打者に対しての対策を取る時間は多かったので、そういう意味では有意義な時間が多かったかなと思います。
Yeah, actually had pretty productive time being able to spend time on the game planning side of things. So that felt pretty good.
Your fastball seemed to have a lot of life to that. What do you attribute?
球速も高かったですけども。
そうですね。1点取られた後はちょっと力は入れましたけど、全体的にはリラックスして投げれたので、そこは前回より進歩かなと思います。
It just added a little bit more intensity after they scored a run, but overall it felt really nice and easy and loose throughout the whole outing. So I think that's the reason why I threw a little harder.
So your four fastest fastballs came right after they scored that run. Are you usually cognizant going into these starts about maybe saving a little something extra for when you get into trouble?
得点された後に一番速い4球速かったんですけども、何かそういうのを意識してやってるんですかと。
でもシーズンやっぱり投げる中で全力をこうずっと100球投げるわけにはいかないので、ある程度スコアを見ながら投げないとはいけないですけど、あそこは2、3塁だったので、1本で逆転されるところですし、しっかりとも全力で抑える場面だったのかなと思ってます。
Yeah, I can't, full throttle all the time, but considering the game, where the game was at that point, I felt like, I just really had to go full throttle and make sure that I'm considering about the game situation.
So you said your last start that you felt some fatigue. Do you feel like the way that the Dodgers are using you, their schedule is allowing you to fix that?
前回はちょっと疲労が溜まった感じでしたけども、ジャーズのそのやり方としてたまらないやり方みたいな。
そうですね。はい。今日そのピッチングだけにしてラッシングが入りましたけど、コロラドの4連戦の前なので、そういう意味でもこう全体的に疲労をためないようなプランっていうのはチームとしても大事だとは思うので、そこを理解しつつ集中できれば1年間みんなが健康で頑張れるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
Yeah, it makes sense just strategically having these off days right before this, our series in Denver. So I think that made sense as well. And it's really important for us as a team to be healthy throughout. So that made sense.
Last one, guys.
I know you said it made sense today, but if Doc decides that this is something that he wants to incorporate, would you be okay with that? How do you feel about that?
もし今後こういう感じに監督が取り入れるっていうのを何かオープンですかと。
そうですね。皆さんも見ましたけど、やっぱり素晴らしい DH がもう一人いるので、彼に任せたいなと思ってます。
Yeah, totally. I mean, we have a really good DH hit today, so I'm very open to that.
Thanks, Will. What about Zotin?
Yes, he will. He'll be in there on Friday, but certainly a really good showing by Dalton in the DH spot. Good for him, and I thought it was a good decision, to have Shohei just focus on pitching and did a heck of a job tonight.
What's it like to watch him just inning to inning between innings when he doesn't have to worry about hitting?
It was actually really good to watch, him just focus on one thing, and I thought that just channeling all that energy into pitching was helpful. And, the last couple outings, I felt he was fighting himself a little bit at times, but tonight he was really good. And I think even that the fifth inning got a little bit kind of wonky a little bit, but he kind of reined it back in and then came back out for the sixth and was really good.
You ever see any signs of the shoulder bothering him?
No, none whatsoever. And even, just talked to the trainer and he didn't come in for treatment as far as icing it or anything like that. So that was a good sign.
What does it tell you when you see him kind of rear back in that fifth inning and throw 4 straight fastballs at like 100 to get out of that?
Yeah, I thought he was, he has a little extra gear when he needs it. And I'm sure he was frustrated about giving up a run and came back and, really went after, I don't know if it was Pham or somebody like that. But yeah, it was 98 all night, some 99s, and then, in the fifth inning, then reaches back for 100. That's nice.
Were you thinking about ending his night there with late warming and then just like sending him back out in the sixth to see him kind of finish the night the way he did?
I was. I thought in that fifth inning, it got a little bit long. Pitch count started to get up there. I think he was approaching 30 pitches in that one inning. So if we were going to get to, somebody, it was I was thinking about potentially pulling the plug right there. But, once he finished that inning, I felt that, I wanted to give him the opportunity to go back out there for the sixth.
He used like 3 different pitches on those strikeouts. Like, are you just seeing his kind of command with that whole arsenal improve as he kind of keeps making starts coming, this far removed from surgery now? Absolutely. He's just got such good feel. And even his curveball wasn't great tonight as far as acquiring strikes, but the fastball was lifey and, the sweeper, the split, use that when he needed to. And so, yeah, just his ability to have the feel and, the velocity is pretty remarkable.
How much do you think Shohei and Yoshinobu might make each other better this year?
I definitely think they will. Iron sharpens iron. We got 2 great athletes, 2 great pitchers, and I think it's certainly, I'm not going to say a competition, but I do think that, they both make each other better. Yeah.
When you see the way that Shohei ended his outing, does it kind of solidify that the schedule program that you have him on is working?
I think so. I think so. And he's always going to, say that he doesn't need the extra rest and, whatever is of benefit to his teammates, the other starting pitchers, I think that's what he would kind of default to. But, with what we ask of him as far as on the hitting side and then the recovery part, and so to give him that extra day, and then also it introduces another starter, whether it's, with the 6-man rotation. It just, I think our process is right and, the pitchers are benefiting.
Does he almost make it difficult with what he does on the mound to, give him that extra time and not have him pitch more often?
No, not at all. I think that we found, at some point if we do that, but I think right now it's just that extra rest I think is beneficial for this long marathon that we play. So you also have some other good options too. And so I think the net sum of just making sure we give these guys extra rest is a good thing.
Do you think just not hitting improved what he did on the mound tonight? Does it make it more tempting to think about doing this again?
If I know that Dalton can throw out a couple hits and, drive in 4 runs, but he likes to hit, he likes to hit, so I think it's more of just knowing that you have another option if it makes sense. But I'm not going to, again, like I said before, I'm not going to just proactively sit him if my eyes aren't telling me that he needs a blow.
Given that Diaz hadn't pitched in a while, did you think at all about just sending him out there anyway? Or?
Not when we got to where we were at, no. We never know how the Colorado series is going to play out, so we might need to lean on him then, so no.
And what do you think about Kyle?
Excuse me?
What do you think about Kyle today?
Kyle, I thought it was good to, not have to get anybody else in the game. It was good to get him back out there, and certainly showed that his fastball plays and gave up a soft, base hit to Bichette, the hit batsman right there from Alvarez. But after that, I thought he was really good.
This one has his first home run and then a pretty good defensive play.
Really good defensive play. Yeah, he got us going, It was a 0-0 game, and he hits a homer, and, the bottom half of the order keeps doing some amazing things. And so, to get production from the bottom half is great. And then Haesung, I always say it, or I always think it, it's just like when he plays, he always does something to help the team win. He really does. And it's good he's getting some runway.
It's been like a slide step at one point.
Yeah, against Lindor, that was fun. He had a 8, 9, 10 pitch at bat, couldn't get him out, and Lindor was synced up to his delivery, and he sort of changed it up with a slide step and got him on a fastball.
Everyone talks about like the art. Everyone talks about the stuff he's showing, but is there like the art of pitching that you're starting to see with him, especially now he's like fully stretched out, stuff like the slide step and mixing in just different.
Yeah, it's and I do think that he looks at it as an art, as Yoshinobu does, and a craft. And so it's not just kind of trying to bully guys with the fastball. It's kind of how you set guys up and front to back, east west, and use your entire pitch mix. So those guys, the best pitchers, in my opinion, do look at it as an art.
The Mets obviously struggling offensively, but what does it say about your pitching at this point, the way they dominated 3 games?
It was. It's certainly helpful going into Colorado, and it says a lot about our pitching staff in total. I think it starts with the starters, and going deep. I think our pen is very rested, and that's a really good thing, especially getting through April. But can't say enough about the pitching staff. Mark, Connor, Bardo, all those guys do a great job. Danny.
What were your expectations of Dalton being put in the DH spot today?
What was my just take good at bats. I thought, we've talked about it a lot of just trying to find ways to get him at bats and keep him consistent. And so tonight I just felt it was a good opportunity to run him out there. And I don't really have expectations on production. I just want to see good at bats and bet on the production. And so, got a 2-out hit, double, then, Haesung hits a homer, and then he makes the adjustment on the breaking balls, change up for the strikeouts, and then comes back and, Williams, his best pitch is change up, and saw it up and put a really good swing on it. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's obviously the approach has simplified a little bit, and like you said, we've seen results as of early, but at the same time, it's no race. It's you got to keep this pace. You have to keep the consistency of what I'm doing every day to stay ready, regardless of how many days I play. And honestly, I'm glad I could give this team another weapon at the time.
Do you feel those like approach changes, like you're on that 0-2 count, you get a couple out of it?
Yeah, I see a difference this year as to last year. There's more thoughts going on in the box, understanding the way the guy in front of me is thinking, the way the guy behind me is thinking, and in this game, that's almost everything. Every hitter that steps up to the plate has the ability to hit whatever pitch type, pitch shape, but as long as you execute it, you have to put it in your head in the first place. And yeah, I was glad I could stay on the changeup there in my first at bat after chasing one down low, and yeah, the results started to show.
Something to like not just being in your second year in this role, but second year in the big leagues and being more used to like what daily life is like.
Yeah, for sure. I understand my routine a little better. I understand what I need to do to get ready. I understand how much time I need to be ready to play a game, regardless of if I'm DHing, taking it at bat in the 7th, or starting the game behind the plate. But yeah, like I said, I've simplified things, and as of now, they're showing results, and we're gonna ride the wave as long as we can.
Sometimes players take a minute to adjust to being in a DH role. Do you think being like a backup pitcher is going to help you manage that more so?
Yeah, I'd almost give props to the player development with this organization. I DH'd a good bit throughout the minor leagues. That was kind of my off day, so to say, when I wasn't catching, and I started to learn a little bit towards the end how to manage that role. It's not an easy role. Seeing Shohei do it every day, I think that's what is so special. And to see his mindset and to see his approach as to how he takes on the DH role, it's arguably harder than playing in the field every inning. you have to fight a mental toll a little bit from pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. You sit around for 2 or 3 innings sometimes, and that's your time to think on whatever happened that is last at bat. But no, I would say I give my props to player development in this organization for giving me that opportunity to obviously DH a good bit throughout the match. Yeah, it's Shohei. I don't have too much more to say on top of that. I think it was cool to see him basically just put all of his attention into what he's doing on the mound, and not that he wasn't already one of the better pitchers in the big leagues now. But I think he's arguably one of the best now when you give him that opportunity to just solely worry about pitching. Everyone knows what he can do with a bat. Everyone knows what he can do with a baseball. But being able to separate the two sometimes is honestly better for the player.
When you've caught him in the past, like, can you sort of see him like reach to a different gear when he gets runners on base or after he gets up a run, knowing the situation?
Yeah, he's as competitive as they come. It's you take pride as a catcher and a player being a competitor, and to be able to see it physically, emotionally, the way he pitches on the mound, I think it's pretty cool. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, you did this, now watch this, kind of thing. And only the best players in the world can do things like that on a field like this.
How much better do you think he could be as a pitcher if he only focused on that?
Honestly, I don't even want to worry about that because he's the best player on this earth for a reason, and the biggest reason to that is because he does both so well. So I honestly, in a perfect world, I never want to even have to think about that. But I'll let him know if he wants to let me take some at bats in the DH role, I'll take him. No, he's like I said, I never want to think about that. I want to let him continue to do what he's doing on a baseball field, regardless of whether it's on a mound or in a box. It's fun to watch.
Doc's talked a lot about recently, like about the confidence and like some of like the younger players, like you guys. Yeah. What do you think? How you performed tonight? What does that do to your confidence?
Yeah, you anything you do to help this team win as a young guy, it gives you a boost of confidence. And I mean, you look around this clubhouse, you see some of the superstars do this every night, and I think it's a testament as to the young players starting to strive for something like that, and starting to push themselves. All right, like I'm going to help this team win day in, day out, rather than all right, you have a big swing once a month. That's everyone runs into something, you know. But no, I think that's what allows this team to continue to get better day after day. It's just the competitive edge of how many superstars we have in this room.
What were you looking for on the home run swing? And
Sorry, 그 홈런 스윙 했을 때 혹시 뭐 이렇게 기다렸던 구종이나 아니면 어떤 자세로 임하셨는지 궁금합니다.
일단 제가 유리한 카운트였기 때문에 그냥 제가 스트라이크 존에 오는 거를 놓치지 말자라는 생각으로 임했던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I was in hitter's count, so I just wanted to make sure if anything comes into the strike zone, I was ready to swing.
is a swing like that just like a good example for you, like the swing progress that you've made, kind of how that's all kind of clicking right now?
그래서 스윙에 지금 변화를 많이 가지고 계시는데 그런 오늘 스윙을 보여줌으로써 좀 뭔가 이렇게 결과가 나고 있다고 생각하십니까?
조금은 변화가 되고 있는 것 같고 그렇다고 막 크게 변화가 아직 생긴 것 같진 않고 계속 하고 있고 앞으로도 계속 변화를 주려고 하고 있습니다.
Yeah, I do believe that it's a little bit of progress for sure, but little by little at times. I don't think it's completely done yet, so I'll keep working hard and make those changes as the season goes on.
How good do you feel about just how well you played since coming back up?
그래서 콜업 되고 난 이후에 지금 좋은 모습 보여주고 계신데 지금 기분이 좀 어떠신지 궁금해요.
기분은 좋죠. 이렇게 메이저 무대에서 뛰는 것은 너무 좋은 거기 때문에 여기서 뛰고 있는 순간은 너무 기쁘고요. 그래서 여기서 계속 뛰고 싶은 마음을 또 제가 행동과 실력으로 보여드려야 되기 때문에 그걸 잘 하려고 하고 있습니다.
Yeah, I'm happy for sure. Just being able to play at the major league level, it's obviously a lot of fun, and I also want to stay at the major league level. And by doing that, I'll try to show with my actions and how
I go about my day and I'll show it on the field.
What was it like just watching Ohtani pitch tonight, the way he performed?
쇼헤이 선수가 오늘 좋은 투구 내용 보여줬는데 그걸 보시면서 어떤 기분이 들었는지 궁금합니다. 워낙에 또 뛰어난 선수이기 때문에 네, 쇼헤이 선수답게 멋진 피칭을 보여준 것 같습니다. Yeah, he's obviously a great player, and just watching him pitch is a great experience and showed another example of why he's a great player.
I mean, that nice play at shortstop in the eighth. What's the biggest difference between playing shortstop now at the big league level compared to early on? Just how much more confidence you have playing that position?
그래서 오늘 8회 때 좋은 유격수 수비도 보여주셨는데 이제 수비하면서 지금 편한 느낌을 받고 계시는지 그리고 전보다 지금 좀 더 유격수 포지션을 소화하는데 좀 더 편하신지도 궁금합니다. 일단 경기에 계속 나가고 자주 유격수에 나가면서 그냥 좀 더 잘하고 싶은 마음이 있고 또 수비 코치님, 오드워드 코치님과 계속 연습하면서 소통을 하면서 많이 나아진 것 같아서 네, 앞으로도 잘하고 싶습니다. Yeah, I've been playing a lot more shortstop lately and communicating with our infield coach Chris Woodward. We actually communicate a lot and we work on different stuff. And as I get more playing time at short, I definitely feel more comfortable and hopefully keep playing good shortstop.
The coaching staff has been so complimentary of the way that you take instruction and want to learn. Just how do you think that served you getting to this point and being able to perform now that you're back up here?
그래서 코칭 스태프들과 인터뷰를 할 때 해성 선수가 굉장히 이런 코칭을 받아들이는 자세나 코칭 스태프와의 이런 관계나 이런 것들이 지금 굉장히 좋다고 하시는데 그런 부분들이 어떻게 지금 현재 선수에게 도움을 주었는지 좀 궁금합니다. 일단 제가 부족한 점이 많이 있기에 코치님들이 많이 알려주시고 계시는데 그 점을 그냥 부족한 점을 알려주면 그냥 잘 따르고 있는 것밖에 없는 것 같고요. 네, 워낙에 또 좋은 코칭 스태프님들이 다 계셔가지고 그냥 저는 잘 따르기만 하면 될 것 같습니다. Yeah, I believe there are a lot of things that I could get better and I need to work on, and just by having the best coaching staff, all I really have to do is just follow their lead and just communicating with them and just taking their instructions and following their instruction is all I need to do.
You mentioned you wanted to do what you need to do to stay here, and obviously you hit your first home run today. So I guess I got to ask the cliche question: how did it feel hitting a home run, rounding the bases, and just knowing that you made a difference?
그래서 저는 인터뷰 하셨을 때 이 메이저리그 레벨에 이제 콜업이 됐고 계속해서 이렇게 남아있고 싶다고 하셨는데 그래서 오늘 그렇게 홈런을 치고 베이스를 돌면서 좀 어떤 기분이 드셨는지 궁금합니다. 베이스 돌 때는 너무 좋았죠. 일단 선취 홈런이었고 베이스 돌 때는 너무 좋았지만 오늘 삼진을 3개 먹어서 많이 아쉬운 것 같습니다. Yeah, I was obviously super happy running the bases and because it was our first run, I felt like I was able to help in that sense, but also after that I struck out 3 times, so I'm a little down on myself, but yeah.